Jesus. I'm reaching my hand to yours, believing there's so much more, knowing that all you have in store for me is good. It's good. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Today is the day you have made. We wanna see Jesus lifted high. Step by step, we're moving forward. Little by little, taking ground. Every prayer, a powerful weapon. Strongholds fall, tumbling down, 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 down. We wanna see Jesus lifted high. The banner that flies across this land. That all men might see the truth and know He is the way to heaven. We wanna see Jesus lifted high. The banner that flies across this land. That all men might see the truth and know He is the way to heaven. We wanna see, we wanna see, we wanna see Jesus lifted high. We wanna see, we wanna see, we wanna see Jesus lifted high. Step by step, we're moving forward. Little by little, taking ground. Everywhere, a powerful weapon. Strongholds down, tumbling down, 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 down. We wanna see Jesus lifted high. The banner that flies across this land. That all men might see the truth and know He is the way to heaven. We wanna see Jesus lifted high. The banner that flies across this land. That all men might see the truth and know He is the way to heaven. We wanna see, we wanna see, we wanna see Jesus lifted high. We wanna see, we wanna see, we wanna see Jesus lifted high. We wanna see, we wanna see, we wanna see Jesus lifted high. We wanna see, we wanna see, we wanna see Jesus lifted, Jesus lifted, Jesus lifted high.
Give thanks to the Lord, our God and King. His love endures forever. For He is good, He is above all things. His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. His mighty hand, His outstretched arm, His love endures forever. For the life that's been reborn, His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful. Forever God is strong. Forever God is with us. Forever. Forever God is faithful. Forever God is strong. Forever God is with us. Forever. To the setting sun, His love endures forever. From the rising to the setting sun, love endures forever. By the grace of God we will carry on. His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever. Once more, forever, forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever.
Who can know the mind of our Creator? Who can speak of wonders yet unseen? Who can reach the height of understanding, to play the notes of wisdom's melody? Who has weighed the dust of every mountain? Who has walked the mysteries of the deep? Who has laid the earth on its foundation? And who conducts the waves upon the sea? I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. So glorious and true. I stand in awe. I stand in awe. Who can know the mind of our Creator? Who can speak of wonders yet unseen? Who can reach the height of understanding, to play the notes of wisdom's melody? Who has weighed the dust of every mountain? Who has walked the mysteries of the deep? Who has laid the earth on its foundation? And who conducts the waves upon the sea? I stand in awe of
chapter 9, verses 30 to 37. They went on from there and passed through Galilee. He did not want anyone to know it, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, "The Son of Man is to be betrayed into human hands, and they will kill him, and 3 days after being killed he will rise again." But they did not understand what he was saying, and were afraid to ask him. Then they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they were silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all." Then he took a little child and put it among them, and taking it in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me." This is the word of the Lord.
I wonder why the Queen is held in such affection and honour. I'm sure it's not solely because of her long reign and title, but maybe something more to do with her life of service. She may have inherent power and status, but it isn't imposed over people, but rather seen in her quiet sense of duty to others. Our reading today reminds us how hard it was for the disciples to change their way of thinking. Their view of Messiah was about a different kind of power, the power they saw at the hands of their Roman overlords, reflecting the different military powers that had crushed Israel for centuries before. This was power to them, and suffering, death and resurrection, echoing what Jesus told them last week. Well, maybe the rising up was the most important thing, about establishing a new power. And if Jesus wasn't there, well, who would be in charge? Who would wield power in this new kingdom? And so here is the first time that we discover them arguing about which one of them was great. And Jesus tells them greatness isn't about seeking or imposing power over someone else, but about finding ways to help those with no power, like a child. And so he says the first needs to become the last and the servant of all. It's interesting that in Mark's Gospel, the examples of service are all angels, women, or Jesus. It was clearly a lesson that these men from such different backgrounds needed to learn. And so he calls a child, a symbol in that culture of utter powerlessness, totally reliant on others for its well-being, someone with no voice and no status. One of the definitions of welcome or receive is to be willing to accept someone's company. But there's also a sense of gladness about welcome, that a welcome is a pleasure, a delight. And so while the disciples argue over who's greatest, Jesus tells them to take an interest in the most vulnerable, who can do nothing for them. When he says that whoever welcomes or receives a child receives him, he's identifying himself with those that are vulnerable, standing alongside them. I came to save the sick, the lost, the broken and hopeless, the outcast, the least, he says on different occasions. And he wanted the disciples and us to share in that by reaching out to those around us. Sometimes we get so focused on ourselves and what's important for us that we lose sight of where Jesus is. Where do we see vulnerability today? And so the challenge is there for us. Where do we see vulnerability today? How can we welcome in Jesus' name? Because when we discover those things, we discover where Jesus is today, and we can stand alongside him too.
majesty, manhood and deity, in perfect harmony. The man who is God, Lord of eternity, dwells in humanity, kneels in humility, and washes our feet. Oh, what a mystery, meekness and majesty. Bow down and worship, for this is your God. This is your God. Oh, your God. Father's pure radiance, perfect in innocence, yet learns obedience to death on a cross, suffering to give us life, conquering through sacrifice. And as they crucify, praise, Father, forgive. Oh, what a mystery, meekness and majesty. Bow down and worship, for this is your God. This is your God. Wisdom unsearchable, God the invisible, love indestructible, in frailty appears. Lord of infinity, stooping so tenderly, lifts our humanity to the heights of his throne. Oh, what a mystery, meekness and majesty. Bow down and worship, for this is your God. This is your God. This is your